morning, Antoine.
Good morning, everyone.
Thank you for being here. So quickly, an overview of what we are going to talk about today. So really the focus is about oak, and no matter if we are talking about barrels or alternatives to barrels or other shapes, we really want to focus on the raw material today and going a little bit more in depth on the composition, the variability, the maturation, and also what we do at La Motabier. Then we will introduce you to the Haut-Bois range, which is the La Motabier oak for enology. And we will go more into the application of the oak in winemaking. So giving you as many tools as we can to help you decide which oak for which wine. This said, so today we are not going to talk about the differences between barrels and all the other shape and form of oak. There are many, especially regarding the advantage that we can have talking about different form than barrels. We can have many advantage in ecological, so sustainability, but also economical advantage. The fact that we can really focus and target a wine profile that can be repeatable and controlled, and also making trials. So there is many advantage. We are not going to go through this today, but I'm very happy to talk about it with you another time. So this said, Antoine, I'm going to let you now take the presentation and share all you know about oak with everyone.
Okay, thank you, Eglantine. So,
can you move the slide?
No, I can't.
Can you ask me to move them?
Yes, I'm trying.
Okay. Okay.
So, first, let me know, talking about the raw material. When we work with oak in enology, we work with one part of the tree. His name is stave log, okay? So that you can see at the left in the picture. And inside the stave log, it's important to know that we use the same oak quality than the barrel, the duramen part. For the barrel, to produce barrel, we use the stave part that you can see here, okay? And when we work with alternative oak, we use the scraps wood between the barrel stave, okay? So it's a good thing for us to work with alternative oak because there is no waste of wood. Okay, but it's really important to know that we are working with the same oak quality. So now let's talk about the different species of oak. Mainly, you can find 3 different species. The Quercus pedunculata, you can see the Quercus sessilis, and you have too the Quercus alba. So at La Motabier, we work only with the Quercus sessilis from France and the Quercus alba from America. So now talking about the forest distribution. In France, the sessilis area is located in the center of France, and the pedunculata area is located in the southwest of France, next to Cognac and Armagnac area. And if you look at the right, you can see in America, our sourcing is done mainly in the east of the country, of the American wood. So now more in detail, let's talk about the oak composition. So you can see for the Quercus pedunculata that the particularity of this oak is that it is richer in elagi tannin, I mean richer in tannic concentration than the other species. Also, it has a low concentration in aromas. It's the reason why we use it commonly in spirit barrel to support the high degree of alcohol and no bring too much aromas. And now, if you are looking the Sicilis and Alba, we have more concentration in aromas like whiskey lactone, eugenol, and vanillin, and low concentration of tannins. That's the reason why it's better to work with this kind of oak in a winemaking process to bring more aromatic complexity, to bring more sweetness, coacting, without too much tannic concentration. Because naturally we have concentration of tannins inside the grape and inside the wine. And the winemaker are looking for more complexity of aromas and more sweetness, that I said. So let's begin to talk about the oak composition more in detail. You can see that the extractable part that we saw just before, it's only 5 to 10% of the oak composition. I mean, nothing. But the rest of the oak composition, cellulose, hemicellulose, and lignin, will be transformed into volatile aromatic compound like vanillin furfural with thermic treatment to give us more vanillin and furfural. So now one important thing, we are talking about the oak variability by forest. One slide to present you the high variability that we have between forest when we do our oak sourcing. At the graph right, that I said before, the oak Sicilis in dark green has more concentration in whiskey lactone than the oak pedunculata. Okay, as you can see here. So first, we can isolate forest according to the dominant species. For example, if we are looking for more whiskey lactone concentration, the best is sourced it into Tronchet or Jupiler forest. Oops. More than one interesting thing is that if we can have, for example, here a forest with low average concentration in whiskey lactone, but if you are looking in detail, you can see that we can find sometimes some trees with very high concentration of whiskey lactone. Okay, so it's really important to understand this kind of step to do after that some homogeneous and repeatable products. Okay, so to reduce this variability at Onobois, we do blending and sampling work at different steps. For example, here at the beginning of the maturation on our park and during the final chips blend. To have at final to have the homogeneous and repeatable product. Now let's talk about the oak maturation. At Honobois, we have our own maturation park next to Bordeaux. We realize oak maturation during 24 months to reduce the oak humidity, to reduce green wood character with the help of heat and natural UV. The microorganisms inside the oak maturation park create the aromatic precursor. They use the lignin inside the wood to produce vanillin, for example. And we have the rain proceed to the leaching of tannin and bitter aldehyde. Here, more in detail, during the oak maturation, we can see that the whiskey lactone concentration during the time is stable. And the negative character like astringency, green, and acidity are decreased. So now let's go inside the Honobois factory with the heating process. There are different kinds of heating process, but at Honobois, we only work with convection heating for the chips, granular, and staves. And sometimes for some staves, we work with radiation heating to get more aromatic complexity for different products. And the reason why we work with convection heating with chips granular and staves, it's to get a repeatable and homogeneous production for our product. Here, more in detail, we can see different heating process. So with the low heating, just here, we are looking for more structure, more concentration, and we are looking for more fruits and spices for the wine. Here, for the middle heating, we are looking for more sweetness without too much tannic concentration, and we want more vanilla and toasted notes. And finally, when we work with high heating, we are looking for more aromatic persistence, more complexity aromatic, and a lot of coffee notes. Here you can see one example of heating process graph at Honobois. I want only to say that we are following the temperature, ventilation, and pressure to be sure to get the repeatable product. Okay, so here you can see some curves. Always, we are during the heating process, we do some aromatic profile control for different batch. For example, here, each batch, we are looking for a minimum concentration in aromas. Here, for example, we are following the chips FR medium. And if one batch has a concentration outside the limits, it will not be part of the final blend. So the idea is still to be repeatable in the heating process. some words to talk about the La Motabier production. We have a production unit fully dedicated to oak production for oenology since 2014. We do everything from oak maturation to packaging. We have a real internal expertise of the oak production with 14 partners on site. We do visits, we do tasting, we have full R&D lab, and we have quality certification. So you are welcome on site. Some words to talk about the La Motabier traceability for our oak. So we keep our final blend oak during 3 years. So we keep a lot of information from the raw material to the final packaging. So now let's talk about the Onobois range. So I will not detail all our range because Eglantine will do it, but I want only say that we produce some granulars like our Ono Fresh, like a Bois Frais, I mean without heating process. We produce some French chips and American chips, like medium plus toast that you can see here. It's oak with a rich concentration in furfural. We produce Uno Blend range. It's as indicated by its name. It's a different blend with different kind of oak. The idea of the Uno Blend range, it gives us a precise profile objective. I mean, for example, if you work with Uno Blend Pure, the idea of this project is preserve the fruit, build up wine body and roundness. We produce oak inside bowl for the barrels with two kinds of toast, and we do some blocks and staves with a thickness of 18 millimeters, and we have 3 different toasts. So here we have the expression and absolute that we use the radiation heating to get more complexity. So we saw that we have different kind of oak, but we have 2 different shape and size. So when you work with chips of granular, it's important to know that there are 2 periods to know. First, the extraction period. It's the time to extract the oak full potential inside the wine. So when we are working with chips, we need 10 to 12 days to extract the oak full potential. And when we work with granular, we need 3 or 4 days to extract the oak full potential. That is the reason why it's really interesting to work with granular in alcoholic fermentation. The second period, its name is integration. I mean, it's the time to integrate the oak intensity into the wine. So when we are working with chips and granular, we need like 2 months to integrate the aromatic compound into the wine. And when you work with staves and blocks. I mean, oak with, bigger oak. The extraction and integration period are done at the same time. It's the same interaction than the barrel. Okay? So when you are working with staves, we need, like, depending on the expected result, but we need between 6 to 12 months for the aging. And for blocks, we need between 3 or 4 months for the aging. So now, Glantine, I'll let you.
Thank you, Antoine. This was great information. I think, very important to understand really the origin and what we do with the oak before we go more in detail in how to use it. Thank you very much for this. Then now we are going to jump in another part of the presentation, which is how to take the right decision. So we know there are many choices of oak. We already internally have different sourcing, different shape, and different toast. And you have many other suppliers on the market that have also this variability. So it's a huge amount of oak to choose from, and we are here to help you. So we're going to talk about how to choose and which oak to use to reach your objective. And for this, we are using a method which is the oak mapping. So we are basically putting, we are going to positionate and place our oak into a map, into this graph that you see in front of you, to really understand their effect. So let me explain you a little bit this graph. So here we are looking at, from left to right, we are looking at the oak impact. So there is a low oak impact on the left side of the graph, or the left part, and a higher oak impact in terms of aromatic impact on the right side of your graph. Then if we look at up and down axes, we are seeing that at the low part of the axe, we are looking at oaks that will bring structure, that are rich in elagitannins, that are here to really give tannins and structure to the wine. On the top part of the graph, we are looking at the oak that will bring you sweetness, roundness, and a coating effect. So actually integrating these tannins and giving body, volume, and support to the wine. Okay, so just to be clear, this graph is actually, that's how we are gonna interpret this map. On the low side of the map, we are looking at all the oaks that bring tannins and will increase the concentration of a wine. And on the top part of this map, we are here to talk about volume and roundness. In terms of aromatic, when we are taking the left side of the map, we are talking about oaks that are here to preserve the fruits, to preserve the varietal characteristic, the freshness of the wine. They have a low oak impact. So they are really here to work on the structure or the mouthfeel, but not necessarily the aromas. And they can have a slight impact on the green perception, so reducing the perception of green characters. Then if we go in the next category on the map, we are talking about oaks that has a vanilla profile, so rich in vanillin. This profile, when you work at lower dosage, so around 1.5 gram per liter or lower, it will have a great impact on ripening the fruit in terms of aromatic impact. Also reducing the green character perception and cleaning the nose when you have reduction. So the chips or staves or any oak that are placed in this part of the map will be great to really work on the aromatic profile in terms of ripening the fruit, reducing green character, and cleaning the nose. When we go on higher toast level, we usually have a higher impact as well. Here we are talking about the oak that are rich in furfural. So they participate to a toasted profile, roasted almond, roasted coffee type of aromas. They are great tool to use to refresh the nose. So if you have any oxidation at very low dosage, like wine that are a little bit tired, can be refreshed with using oak that contain furfural, but also great tool to mask aromatic defects such as volatile phenols, for example. Okay, so these are between the mouthfeel and the aromatic impact, we have a pretty well defined map. And so we thought it would be interesting to now positionate our oak range on it. But before this, I want to talk about some mistake to avoid, because there are some mistakes that you don't want to do and you can prevent. And not every oak are good for every profile. So when we're talking about the oaks that are here to preserve the fruit, we have to be careful with dosage. These oaks, so if you want to keep the fruit expression, stay below 3 grams per liter in terms of dosage. If you want to preserve the thiols, stay below 1 gram per liter. Thiols can be very fragile and can easily be neutralized by oak, so work at low dosage. And then when we're talking about our oaks that are rich in elagitannins, such as our granulars or origin staves, we want to work at lower dosage, so lower than 3 grams per liter as well. Okay, so dosage is very important here. This said, we are here talking about our oak. So it's not, these dosage are adapted to an Aubois range, okay? Then when you are in the category rich in vanillin, you want to be careful on the overripe grapes. Using vanillin on grapes that have already a bit cooked aromas is not the best idea, because it makes the wine heavier, sweeter, and sometimes too heavy. So it's not necessarily the best match when you just want to go at lower dosage. So oak that are rich in vanillin, usually we recommend to work with 1 to 2 grams per liter to really improve and enhance complexity, aromatic complexity. And then when you go on the highly toasted oak, they are not recommended to be used on green character, smoky wines or reduced wines. Obviously, the furfural is going to basically enhance the green smoky or reduction, which is going to make the wine very spiky and unbalanced. So we don't recommend to use oaks that are rich in furfural on this type of wine. Okay, so these are little tips, just little things to not do with oak. There is many things you can do, but some rules, it can be always helpful. So this said, now let's look at our range and how they position themselves on this map. Okay, so first we have the Fresh granular that Antoine presented you before, that are untoasted oak granulars and very rich in elagitannins. So we use them for fermentation or aging, actually, because we are really working on high quality wood here that doesn't give you any negative impact in terms of raw wood aromas, I would say. And we have a good quality, good base that we can use on both fermentation and finished wine to increase the concentration, to increase the tannin structure and to build up the body. And then we have our origin staves and blocks that are on the lower toast level 2, that are here to work on the structure, not much aromatic impact. As you can see, we are on the low aromatic impact category here, but really to build up structure, to give tannins, but also to give a lot of roundness and volume. The second categories that we can talk about are our chips, no blends. So they are blends of different toasting process. And we are talking about the pure. That is, no blend pure is here to really bright the fruit, boost the wine aromas, not bringing any oak aromas, and working on the mouthfeel, so giving volume, body, and structure. The no blend chic will start to have some aromatic impact here, especially on the spicy notes. Will bring you some spices and give you some freshness, but also give you a lot of sweetness and a lot of mouthfeel effect. Next category, we have the no blend fan that is richer in vanillin. So we are putting it more on, it has a higher oak impact here, which is a great tool to use on green character, for example, and to add complexity at low dosage. And we also have the expression staves and block that are the typical medium toast French oak barrel alternative. So the expression will give you a lot of volume, a lot of body, some structure too, and very nice vanilla, caramel, and spices note. Last family that we are offering to really cover every need you could have are on the higher toast level and higher oak impact. So we have the chips that are the FR medium plus, French oak medium plus toast. These chips are here to give you concentration, to give you tannins and structure, but also rich in furfural, so gives you some toasted aromas. And then we have the absolute staves and blocks that are here to give you a lot of furfural. So a great tool to refresh wines or to give some complexity in some Pinot Noir, for example, and also a good support in terms of mouthfeel. On this, since Antoine has way more experience than me on our full range, I would love you to share some of your experience with all our product, and if you have any specificity to share with us.
Yes, I mean, you speak about the Pinot Noir. For example, the absolute stave, it's or can be similar to a Burgundy barrel. Working with it with small dose, I mean, like say 0.3 to 0.5 stays by hectoliter. It could be really interesting and bring you some complexity, aromatic, some freshness. And it can be interesting to do some blend. I mean, for example, you can work with a little bit of origin staves with a little bit of absolute staves to bring concentration of in tannin and to bring freshness and complexity.
Thank you, Antoine. So this said, now that we positionate our oak on this map, let's talk about how to use them in your wine. So we are doing the same work with the wines and the grapes to really help you anticipate your needs in terms of oak and also select the best oak you can. So let's look at a grape. So here we are doing a grape mapping. So we are really gonna positionate our grape depending the vintage, depending the vineyard, your experience, your previous experience with each vineyard. You're gonna taste berries, and you're just gonna take this map and put your vineyard lot into this graph. Okay, so the axes that we're talking about are, the first one from left to right is the maturity level. So we are talking on the left side about unripe aromas, green, unripe. Then we are arriving to the thiols, fresh fruit aromas, terpenes, riper fruit. And then on the far right of the graph, we are talking about overripe aromas, so cooked dry nuts, all these overripe aromas. Then the other axis is about concentration, the tannin concentration. Here we are going up. So on the bottom part of the map, we are talking about grapes that are diluted. There is not much concentration here. They are pretty watery. And on the top part of the grapes, we are talking about a grape that has a nice concentration. The higher we go and the more tannins and concentration we have. Okay, so knowing this, you can positionate your vineyard in one of the, in anywhere in this map, in fact, and understand where you want to go. Okay, and the idea here is, if you are on the bottom part of of the map, no matter where on the bottom part, we are going to work on the structure and the body of the grapes wine to get up. Okay, so first we work on concentration, and this is done by using oaks that have no impact on aromatics but impact on the mouthfeel and bringing tannins. So we can use some fresh granular. We usually work between 1 and 2 grams per liter, depending how much concentration you need. And then we can work with the origin, stave, or block. Here I put the blocks because we're talking more about fermentation aspect, so you need smaller pieces to extract faster. Okay, once we are on the up category and we don't have to work on the structure anymore, we can work on the aromas. Here, from on the green or more unripe, fresh category, we can work with a blend fan or the block expression that are great to work on green character and reduce the green perception, still giving you a lot of volume and sweetness on the nose because they are rich in vanillin. And if we go on the other side, we're going to work more with the no blend chic or absolute that will give you freshness, will give you some furfural to bring to refresh the overripe fruit aromas and give you more complexity. Okay, so these are easy decisions you can make to work during fermentation and early on to really anticipate which type of wood you could use on your grape matrix. Then we are doing the same work on wine. So the idea here is once the wine is done, fermentation is finished, you're gonna taste through your cellar and do an inventory of your cellar, understand where your wine are positioned, and that's where usually you understand if you have to do something or not. And here we have tools to help you increase complexity and overall quality, in fact, of the wine. So same map, but we're talking about wine. So on the left side of your map, you have the unripe green aromas. Then we go through thiol, fresh fruit, terpenes, ripe fruit. And on the far right side of the map, we are talking about overripe aromas. So overripe fruit type of aromas, okay? And then on the bottom to top axis, we are having the diluted wines, poor in concentration, watery wines at the bottom, and high tannin concentration, high structured wine, nice mouthfeel on the top. Okay, our recommendations here are actually gonna be pretty similar to start. We are gonna have to work on the structure. First, we work on the base of the wine to build back structure. So we take all this lower part of the map to put it back up, and we work with fresh granular. As we were talking about before, the fresh granular is very good quality, so you can use it. Don't be scared to use it on finished wine. It's not gonna give you aggressivity. And we can work with the stave or the block origin. We are talking here about like 0.5 to 1 stave per hectoliter in terms of dosage. Once you bring your wine back up, we can talk about aromas. If you are green, unripe characters, we recommend to work with the expression stave and block or the no blend fan. That really both of them will give you vanillin that are very useful to ripen the fruit and remove some green character. At low dosage, you will still maintain all your varietal characters. Here, we want to keep the varietal, we want to keep the fruit, just bringing some sweetness and complexity. We can work with the No Blend Chic or the No Blend Pure. In the middle, that's really where you can do whatever you want. You can shape your wine however you want. There is actually no rules here. Everything is possible depending what you want to do. Just don't go too high in dosage to really maintain and keep your wine profile nice. So we can recommend blends of origin and expression, working with a No Blend Fan or a No Blend Chic. That's really up to you. And when we go on the more ripe aromas, that's where we start to talk about refreshing the aromatic, using oaks that are rich in furfural, such as the Medium Plus, the FR Medium Plus chips, or the Staves or Block Absolute. Okay, so this is actually a very great tool to, once your wine is positioned, you can understand what to do and how to choose it. And for this, I wanted to show you an example, which we taste post-FR, post-fermentation, alcoholic fermentation, sorry, and we realized that the wine was on the diluted green side. First step, we are building up the tannin concentration with 1 to 2 grams per liter of Eau Fresh or Origin, Stave or Blocks, which bring the wine up, but still in green. Next step, we are gonna reduce the green perception and still preserve the fruit, adding some complexity, working with 1 to 2 grams per liter of Eau Blend Fan and or Expression Stave or Block. Okay, another example on the other completely opposite profile, you would have a wine that post-fermentation is just overripe, but with a good concentration. Here we are proposing to work with 1 to 2 grams per liter of absolute blocks to refresh the aromatic profile. Okay, so these are examples that we can have many. We can positionate any wine on this map and really do recommendation that work pretty accurately and work very good. So feel free to email me at the end of this presentation, or feel free to call me and we can talk about where is your wine and do this exercise to understand really which type of oak you can use. The question between staves and chips will be mostly about how much time you have in front of you and like how much complexity you want to bring to your wine.